Unqork. So yeah, as of now we have seen a lot of things in Unqork. Those are not advanced; these are like just beginner friendly. But yeah, a lot of things are there that we have covered. So let's build a project uh, which will have all the things that we have learned till yet. So and we'll learn the new concepts also, the CRUD concept like create, read, update, and delete. So we'll build a project where this CRUD operations would be performed, and apart from that whatever we have learned as of now, that will also be something we will be using. Okay, so let's build maybe a travel agency form. So maybe let's assume we are having a resort in Lakshadweep, and we are going to create a form using Unqork here, which would be something used by the users to book the resort, right? That is what our plan is. So let's build that. So initially let's build the layout. So what we will do, we want to add a header. Maybe let's put HTML element here, which will be acting as a header for us, like the name of the resort. HTML header, I will write here maybe Lakshadweep Paradise Resort Booking Form. Okay, that's our name of our resort. Okay, so this is coming as paragraph. Let's put it something. Let's make it as a H1, so it will be like something bold will be coming, right? So yeah, Lakshadweep Paradise Resort Booking Form. So this is what we are going to build the form for it. Okay, so what we will need is from a user perspective, let's create a layout first. In that we'll be putting all those required fields. So let's put a column. So inside the column, let's put this text field where we will give again, we will ask the user to write first name, first name, right? So let's make it as a mandatory thing. So without that, the thing, I mean, this can't be submitted, right? So make it required. So this is required as true, and we will just keep it as it is as of now. Maybe in the placeholder we will write name. Okay, easy. Let's create a new field which is a last name. I'm just copy pasting that previous component, and here let's give the property ID as last name. Last name. Okay, last name. Let's put it here as first name also in the placeholder, just to have a consistent look and feel for both these things. I'm just saving this in between, so if anything crashes or like if there is some issue while saving, our work doesn't get lost. So I'm just saving these things. Okay, so the next thing is let's put a age here. Okay, so we'll use a number component for that, where we would be capturing the age of the user. So here I will write the property ID as age, label text as age, maybe placeholder as also age. I will write here enter age. Okay, so let's put a default value as 1 for now. So pre-default, the default value is 1 when once the user sees that. So let's refresh this and let's see how it looks. Okay, so default age is coming as 1, but yeah, we can edit that. We can add the number. Okay, cool, then we are good with the age. Let's write here, maybe if age is done, then let's put address over here, or maybe phone number, right? We need to capture the phone number also of the user. Okay, so let's put phone number field. Here the label we will give is mobile. हा नाही नंतर जेवतो थांब. Mobile number. So yeah, this name we had given, which is mobile number. Put one more field here, which is address, right? We want to capture the address of a user who is filling this form. So it is address, and I will write here enter. Maybe let's put it address. In the placeholder we'll write enter your address. Okay, that is what we are giving here. We'll just put all those things, so whenever the user enters those things, the address, it will show up here. Cool, right? So we are done with adding the address component here. So let's put the date, right? So we want to put a component which will allow user to select the particular date on which he want to book the resort. So maybe here we will we'll give the name as start date. So from this date here, start date, save and close. Let's put, or instead of start date, we will just change the property ID to maybe from date. So it will be like more like a actual booking form where we see these things, right? From and to. So from date and up to when you want to book. So let's put it here to date. Cool. So let's, I think this is enough. Like this information we will capture. Okay. And then the user will submit this form, and this Lakshadweep Paradise Resort will get that information, and he will call them. He will call the customer, uh, giving them more details about the rates and everything. So that is what we will build. So as of now, from the layout perspective, we have built these things. So we'll put here a submit button. We'll put a submit button here. Like let's put it here, maybe a button. Submit. Submit. Cool. Okay, let's put it an event. So we'll configure that backend thing, like where this data should be stored. But yeah, I think for now we have selected the event. Let's see how our layout looks like. Like this is the form we have built. So let's see how our layout looks. I'm just waiting for this to get saved. Refreshing that again. There was some network issue, so I think that's causing trouble there. Okay, then we are good here. We have filled these things. We have done that, all those things which are required, and we have configured a submit button. So on a click of a submit, we want to store all this data uh, into a schema or like a database, right? The MongoDB database. So let's build that. So what we will do is here we'll use a plugin component. So here I'm putting this plugin component. So the name will be plug submit data. Cool, right? So what we will do is we'll create a submission, right? So here we'll see this new service which is create module submission. So what we have seen usually is when we, let me show you that. So when we use a button component, right? So when we have this action type as save, and upon clicking on that save button, the data gets saved into a default schema, which is this module. So this module acts as a schema and all the data gets saved into this. But what we will do is, instead of saving these things into this default schema, which is a module schema, we will not store in that, right? We will store into a different schema altogether. Okay. So let's do that. So for now, for that, we need to build a schema for that, right? So let's go to our application. We'll create a separate module for it. Uh, okay. So here we'll create a separate module for it and we'll name it as, I'm just writing schema here. Okay. And then maybe we'll give the name as resort booking, right? So this module we are creating, and here we'll write this module, sorry, is used as schema to store all the bookings, resort bookings, or maybe resort booking submissions, right? And here we will give it as, here we have a type. So API we haven't seen yet, but the front end is the same like what we have built already, the front screen. And let's put it as other here, which is used for data storage and rerouting. So let's put it here and create. Okay, so module is created. So what we will do, all these things will store inside this module. So we will capture this ID, which is a module ID, and we'll open this sandbox where we had built that form. And in this plug submit data, we will configure that module ID where we want to store all the module submissions, right? So this is what I have given. And again, this is service, right? We are using create module submission. So let's see what is the API specification for that. So we don't need to remember the API specification, right? It is better to go quickly into the documentation and see what are the fields that we need to pass. So let's put it here. So yeah, module ID is required, which is a path parameter we have already configured. And the other required thing is data, right? So let's put it as data here, right? We'll save that data. So how to do that is we'll map that data. So in this input table, we can map that data. So here we need to do is data dot first name. So in this mapping, we need to mention that field what we want to show in that submission. So when we have the first name, that first name would be saved with the key as first name. So we can write anything here. It's not compulsory that whatever the first name that we have given on the form, which was on this. So yeah, we are not writing this first name here, right? So what we are doing is we are going to map these things, right? So for this property ID, the first column is the one where we put the input ID. So we have put the property ID of the actual component that we have used on the screen, which is a first name. But how we want to save that data in the database, with what key we want to save that data, that we will write here. So data dot first name, maybe I can write anything. I can write for, I can just write name also. Okay, let's put it name. So just to uh, avoid any confusion between that, so this name we can give any name, right? So data dot, maybe here I will give as last name, and what value we want to save is last name value. So we'll just write a last name here. And the next field was, what was our next field, was age and then phone number. So let's put it here, age data dot age, data dot mobile number, and here we are mapping it to phone number. So that whatever value we put in the mobile number, that would be saved in the database, which would be having the key as mobile number. And then the next one is address. We'll give it as data dot address. And then what was that? To date and start date, which are like something most important. So let's give from date, data dot from date to date. So data dot to date. Okay, so this is what we have created here. So I'm clicking on save. Cool. So let's see now our plugin is set up, which is responsible for storing all those things into the schema. Button is set up. So let's put an event here, which is to trigger that plugin, which is plug submit data using that submit button. Cool. So let's refresh this module and let's save this data. Okay, let's try out. So our form is ready, right? We have built the form, we have built a configuration where this data would be saved into the database. So let's try out. So let's put Virat Kohli, age is 34, mobile number is this, address is Delhi, so if you see here, if I'm entering anything here, okay, address is not coming. So let's see, we will fix that. What's the issue? And maybe let's select the date, maybe it is 20 to 22. Okay, so this date we have selected and we'll just try to click on the submit button. Okay, but as this auto search or auto address populate is not working, let's put some random address here. Zip as this, country as India. Let's submit this form. So if I click on submit, we see this call is getting triggered. So what is triggered is our plugin got triggered and this is the data that we have passed. So see, we have created all those fields, right, which we are having a different property IDs altogether, and now we have saved these things. This submission we have created, which is having the submission ID as this, and all this data is saved into this schema, which is this schema we have created, right? We have not saved anything in this our default module, but separate schema we have created. So let's validate that. So from the next video, in the next session, we will see, in the next video, we will see how to build that dashboard thing, how to view that. But let's, for our testing purpose, let's create a plugin to fetch all the data which is stored, right? So plugin get data. So we just wanted to see whether that data is actually present into that schema. So here I will write get, what was that service? Yeah, get module submissions. I think I want all get. Okay, what happened? Okay, get module submissions, right? So here we need to replace this with the actual module ID. Right, so this is the one, schema resort booking, and let's see. So what we will do now is, in the plugin we have a feature where is what is like concurrent trigger, post trigger, and error trigger. So what is concurrent trigger is, if we write any component here, let's suppose I write plugin get data. So what happens whenever this plugin submit data, is triggered at the same time. So it is concurrent, right? So at the same time, this plugin also gets triggered. Okay. And this is post trigger. So from the name itself, what it suggests is we need to put it here. So what it means is this component, whatever we have put it here, this will get triggered once this is completed. So if this is taking this plugin submit data, this plug submit data is taking 10 seconds to save that data, it will wait for that 10 seconds. So once that 10 seconds is done, once that data is saved, then post trigger of that, this will trigger. I mean post submission of that, this will get trigger, which is plugin get data. So this is what we want, right? We want first to actually complete that service which is used to store the data, and then is to get whatever the data is stored. So let's put it here. And in the error trigger, we can put something, error handling logic we can put. So if any errors occur while submitting this data, if we want to trigger a certain logic, that we can put it here in the error trigger. So let's we'll configure that error trigger later, but let's see how it's working up till now. That is where is our module? Yeah, this is our module. So let's see what our data is getting stored as well as our get call is happening or not. Okay, so I'm just writing random things here. Okay, if I click on submit, if you see the first call is submission call, which is like creation of submission, right? Which is this call. So this happened. Okay, we pass this payload, and once this is completed, this got triggered, which is get data. Get data. So this is a get call, right? And the previous was the post call. So if you see the preview, we have two submissions. The first one was the one which we created, and the second is now the recently what we create, the recent data that we have stored. So this is like all those things are getting stored into this schema resort booking. So yeah, that's it from this video. So we have built this thing, right? The layout thing, storing the data and getting the data. So in the upcoming videos, let's work upon this. Let's fix this issue where the address is not coming. So let's see what's the issue here. And from there, we will carry forward of creating an admin dashboard and all those things. Thank you.